What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael and welcome to FudgeMuppet. Elder Scrolls 6 is the game I have most been looking forward to out of any game in my entire life. And if we can take Todd Howard's words as truth, and not sweet little lies, then it could end up as one of the most ambitious RPGs of all time. Todd has said that Elder Scrolls 6 is a game that needs to be designed for people to play for a decade, at least. So it sounds like the game has huge potential, and whether or not we ever get an Elder Scrolls 7 is very hard to say. It would be such a long time before we even hear about it, and with that in mind, I kind of hope Bethesda treats Elder Scrolls 6 as their final Elder Scrolls game, even if it's not. What I mean by this is, let's not leave fans hanging for another 10 years, so let's address certain events that we know of from the time of Skyrim, such as what happens next with the Thalmor, and also just throw everything you've got at this game. Make it bigger, better, and filled with more to see and do than any main Elder Scrolls title so far. A grand finale of effort, even if Bethesda does go on to make an Elder Scrolls 7, which of course I hope they would one day. But this video is about Daedric Princes, so where do they tie into all of this? Well, Daedric Princes are one of the coolest things in the Elder Scrolls universe, and if you took them away, things just wouldn't be the same. There are so many fascinating stories, artifacts, and even entire cultures that have resulted due to the actions of the Daedra. So today I want to have a bit of a discussion and hear what you all think in the comments below about how we could optimize our experience with Daedric Princes in the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm going to go through a few ways it could be done, and then you can tell us your favorite or suggest something new entirely. We're talking about how we interact with the Daedra, how many quests we can actually do for them, and how many artifacts we can get our hands on, and so on. Daedric artifacts are easily fans' favorite items overall, and there's many more mentioned in books or featured in previous games than what we could get in Skyrim. What I would propose in an ideal world is adding more Daedric artifacts, even twice the amount seen in Skyrim, into the Elder Scrolls 6. This doesn't mean you can get all of them in one playthrough though. I would also add more Daedric Prince quests into the game, which would help you to get these artifacts and also help with role-playing a character who wants to devote themselves to one or multiple Daedric Princes. Think about it, in Skyrim you meet a Daedric Prince, you help them fulfill a task or desire they have, and they often make you their champion, but then that's the end. You are the champion of Mehrunes Dagon, but he will never call upon you again. Wouldn't it be cooler if after the Skyrim quest with the Dawnstar Museum, if you chose to kill Silas and claim the Razor for yourself, Mehrunes is pleased and says he will call upon you later. Perhaps secondary Daedric quests are even level capped to quite high levels to keep things feeling fresh and really spread out. So using Skyrim's level system, at level 20 you can do the Razor quest, but then imagine all the way at level 40 you're trudging through some lonesome area in the snowy wilderness and Dagon's voice booms out to you, perhaps just telling you to return to his shrine. You go there and he says he has use of his champion's talents, and should you disobey him you will meet your end. If for whatever role-playing reason you turn down continuing to serve him, he spawns 4 Dremora Lords to kill you and cuts off further quest potential. Or if you continue on as his champion, he sends you to do a second quest which earns you another artifact. Secondary Daedric Prince quests could lock you out of the secondary quest of one sworn rival of theirs, so that you can still enjoy accidentally stumbling across any initial quest of a Daedric Prince and getting wrapped up in it like was often the case in Skyrim. But with our Dagon example, his sworn enemy is Molag Bal, and choosing to do Dagon's second quest could stop you from doing Bal's second quest, either because it directly involves doing something against Molag Bal, or perhaps because he would see you as too loyal to his enemy. It could also be executed so that you do not become the champion of every Daedric Prince you help, but they can give you this title after you earn it by helping them with their second quest. Let's continue on with the Dagon example. Of course, things have to be designed differently from the start, so using Skyrim exactly as it is as a template for second quests isn't perfect, but let's just pretend that there's a coven of vampires hiding deep in a cave known as Icewind Cavern. Perhaps they are an offshoot from the Volkihar clan, who abandoned the group long ago, pushing politics to the side and instead choosing to follow a more zealous religious path, worshipping the Lord of Domination who made them who they are. They live with mortal cattle, who are mostly made up of wandering travelers who they snatch up in the night. These vampires would have many shrines to Molag Bal and fulfill various desires for him, but largely keep to themselves. In recent times, they have come into possession of one of Dagon's artifacts, the Daedric Crescent. Their They're currently corrupting the weapon, drawing power from it with rare vampiric magic, and feeding it to Molag Bal during their worship. The crescent is said to be the last one remaining on Tamriel, and Dagon sends you to retrieve it and wipe the clan out. Doing so would culminate in an epic boss battle, where you fight against a powerful vampire warrior who has decided to wield the corrupted crescent in battle against you. Defeating him, you'd take the artifact back to Dagon, who could then make you champion if he hadn't already, and he would imbue the item with its true power, telling you it's yours to keep, as he really just wanted to spite Molag Bal. It could be similar in effect to the crescent you could get in Morrowind, paralyzing targets for 10 seconds, and with Skyrim's mechanics reducing their armor rating by 20 points per strike, with this effect stacking. So that's just one example of how we could add not only more Daedric artifacts to Elder Scrolls 6, but also additional quests. However, not every Daedric Prince has a clear-cut enemy for us to pit them against. We can allow for more nuance than that. So another way of doing things, and again I'd love to hear your thoughts on these suggestions, and this idea may even be better, is the following setup. You have the 16 base quests that everyone can do for each Daedric Prince outside of Jiggalag. I mean, they could add him back in Elder Scrolls 6, and it wouldn't really change our suggestion, but just to keep it simple, let's leave it like Skyrim setup for this example. So some Daedric Prince quests might be shrine oriented, and others happen randomly or unexpectedly in the world as you stumble into new situations. But then out of the 16 Daedric Princes, only 4 of them will call you up for a second quest, which you can do to become their champion. These princes may be more neutral, like Hircine or Hermaeus Mora. Finishing their second quest will give you another artifact of theirs. Perhaps Hircine gave you Saviour's Hide, but for his second quest you get the legendary Spear of Bitter Mercy, which you can use to summon Storm Atronachs, reflect magic, and of course, stab enemies. Anyway, outside of these 4 Daedric Princes with set second quests everyone could do, you could then be forced to choose between the 12 remaining Daedra in roughly 6 unique quests that can only proc if you've done the first 2 quests of the princes who will end up at odds. As an example, you may do a quest for Meridia at level 15, and then a quest for Namira at level 20. Once you reach level 30, so long as you've done their quests, a new quest can be discovered that actually ends up with these 2 Daedric Princes at odds with one another, and both are asking you to do something that will go against the other's wishes. There's 2 ways you can play and finish this quest after the cutoff point is reached, and you will become the champion of the Daedric Prince you help, getting another one of their unique artifacts while angering the other and missing out on whatever reward they had on offer. We kind of just had a small taste of this vibe when Molag Bal told us about the priest of Boethia who he wanted to get revenge on, but of course there was no option to help Boethia then. If we change around the exact setup numbers wise, there could even be a quest where you're forced to pick between helping 3 Daedric Princes, perhaps to resolve a now broken pact they had made with one another, or to help one go behind the back of another with entirely selfish motivations. Overall, this method means you'll not only have more replayability by forcing you to pick between 2 choices and more options for roleplaying, but you'll also expand the lore of the Elder Scrolls universe by getting more insight into the various interactions that Daedric Princes have with one another. And remember, it doesn't even have to be one Daedric Prince versus their sworn enemy, or one sphere of influence that directly opposes another. It can be more complex and unique. You can have Sheogorath at odds with Nocturnal for various personal reasons, or Vaemina highly displeased with Mehrunes Dagon. One of the advantages of having more interactions between Daedric Princes themselves is that it not only adds new lore, but also improves how they feel as characters. There's way more opportunity to make Daedric Princes feel more interesting and unique when we can hear their opinions of one another and even take part in their various conflicts, as opposed to just seeing them in a vacuum. In Skyrim, the vibe is that the world exists without Periite, for example, but when you see him interact with another god, he feels like a more intertwined part of things. Besides the obvious fun of fleshing out Daedric Prince relationships, more quests also gives the player that larger choice of Daedric artifacts, more than they've ever had in one game, and there's heaps of artifacts on offer. Take Malakath for example. Everyone is used to getting the hammer he has claimed, Volendrung, but imagine if doing his second quest got you Scourge, his unique mace, forged from sacred ebony in the fires of Fickledire. The mace could be used to strike foes, of course, but also banish Daedra and summon Scamps and Dremora. This featured in Battlespire and Morrowind, but we haven't wielded it since. Another cool thing, besides returning some Daedric artifacts that need some fresh love, is this concept gives Bethesda an opportunity to add new Daedric artifacts that we've never seen before. Dawnbreaker is a great example. It's such a cool sword that Elder Scrolls fans have fallen in love with, but it was actually first seen in Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. In Elder Scrolls 6, Periite could reveal not just Spellbreaker, but also a never seen before staff that looks super aesthetic and spews deadly poison from its tip while covering the wielder in a poison cloak, so long as the attack stream is still active. Namira could gift you with a disgusting but cool fleshy mask for quite an evil character, something that looks like it belongs in a horror movie but is still uniquely Elder Scrolls in feel. It could be worn to give all enemies who have become hostile and are targeting you a 20% chance of fleeing in fear for 30 seconds. You get the idea here. Dawnbreaker was able to be this new fan favorite, so I'm sure Bethesda could add many things new and loved in Elder Scrolls 6. We could potentially see situations where Daedric Princes offer you a choice of reward for helping them in their second quest. This would be great for princes who already have far more than just 2 artifacts, and also again enhances even more replayability, because even if you help the same Daedra, you may go with a different reward. Clavicus File has some of the coolest artifacts that you'd probably pick instead, but imagine if one of the reward options was to drink from his infamous bitter cup, which gives you some massive boosts to certain skills, or an attribute if attributes return, but also draws down your weakest one. Daedric Princes could also offer you the option to worship them, using a mechanic similar to that seen in the Wintersun Faiths of Skyrim mod, and perhaps the equivalent of achieving devotee status can only be unlocked after siding with them in both related quests. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this Elder Scrolls 6 discussion. More Daedric Prince quests and rewards just adds more choices, more role-playing options, more Daedric artifacts, expands the lore, and just gives the player more sensational content to complete. Let's put more artifacts in the game and not just add them later in Creation Club or something like that. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, whether you want to share your ideas with me or just discuss your ideas about someone else's comment. Thank you so much for tuning into FudgeMuppet and supporting these videos we love to make most. Social media links are in the description. My name is Michael, and I look forward to nerding out with you again very soon.